All right, everyone. So we have some news and updates for Raid Shadow Legends. So let's head over to the news section, which is going to be on the left-hand side of the screen right over here. And we do indeed have another one of these 10 times the chances to get a specific unit in Raid Shadow Legends. Now, we have had this event, I believe this is the fourth one of these that we've had now, and they haven't really been around for too long. So we definitely know that this is going to end up being a reoccurring thing in Raid Shadow Legends. Now, we've had them with Ancient Shards. I believe the very first one was Gore Grab, which was Ancient Shards. Not a very good one. I'm going to be honest, the Ancient Shard one for Gore Grab, the odds were really stacked against you, which definitely made it not worth summoning for. Then we had two that were with Void Shards, and these ones are surprisingly a bit better than Ancient Shards. Still debatably probably not going to be worth summoning for, but they were definitely better than the Ancient Shard one. And I believe it was for Skull Crown and then Madame Cerise. And now we have the first one with Sacred Shards, and that is going to be for Big Un. Now, all of these events have been 10 times the chance to get that specific unit. However, they have not been double rates. Very important. I want to mention it. We don't have any double rate events going on right now. So if you take a look at the actual odds to summon, they are going to be the very typical 0.5% chance to get a legendary from Ancients and Voids, and 6% chance to get a legendary from Sacred Shards. Now, interestingly enough as well, is this event not only is the first time that we are having this event with Sacred Shards, but it is the first time that a legendary champion is going to end up being featured. The other three, Gore Grab, Skull Crown, and Madame Cerise, were all epics, and these really change the numbers a lot and make these events much different when it comes to whether it is going to be worth summoning for or whether it is not going to be worth summoning for. So now the combination that you need to summon Sacred Shards, which are generally going to be much more difficult to come by than Ancient Shards and Void Shards, and if you do end up deciding to actually whale out and buy them in the actual store, they're going to be really expensive. Now, this is definitely not an option that I would recommend unless you have no care in the world for spending a ton of money on this game, but that makes a big difference when you compare this event to the Ancient Shard and the Void Shard ones. But also now, Big Un is a featured legendary, and we all know the chances of getting legendaries in Raid Shadow Legends are very low. Whether you take a look at Ancient Shards or Void Shards, 0.5%, even 1% during a double rates event, which is not going on right now once again. Or if you take a look at Sacred Shards, 6% or 12% during a double rates event, that's pretty low, especially for the price that the game charges, for how few of them you end up getting just by playing the game normally, how rare they are in clan boss chests, you know, that's a pretty low chance to get legendary champions. Now, how big of a difference does increasing the chance to end up getting a specific legendary in the game, Big Un, how much does that actually alter the odds? Well, that's what I wanted to end up getting into in this video, but I will definitely say 100, actually not even 100, 1,000%, guys, this event is major bait. This is the worst one that we have had by far, even worse than the Gore Grab one, and it is definitely not going to be worth summoning for. Now, we do also have a Summon Rush event running alongside this. I guess that's a little tiny bit of a bonus, but even the Summon Rush event is actually worse than most other Summon Rush events that we have. This one, it's a 2-day Summon Rush, so that's very short. I think this is the shortest Summon Rush that we've had. Usually, I want to say it feels like they're almost always 3 or 4 days, but this one is only 2 days, and it's also for 4,000 points, which is a lot higher than it used to end up being. And if you take a look at the rewards, it's the very basic. This is kind of like the rewards that we always had when it came to the Summon Rush events. Very typical. Legendary Skill Tome, Epic Skill Tome, some gems, some energy mixed in there, and then just some other random stuff as well. But for 4,000 points, you're looking at 1 point from Mystery Shards, 20 from Ancient Shards, 120 from Void Shards, and 500 from Sacreds. If you are going to double dip and pull Sacred Shards for the Big Un event and to clear out this Summon Rush, you still need to do a total of 8 Sacred Shard pulls in order to end up clearing this Summon Rush for just 1 legendary skill tome. Now, what are the chances that 8 Sacred Shards is going to end up giving you a Big Un? Well, not that high, and I'm going to get into the numbers in just a second. I believe in the last video where I talked about, I think it was the Madame Cerise rate up event, I didn't actually get into the numbers, but this one is so bad that I actually wanted to tell you guys the odds so you know if you do pull Sacred Shards right now, what your actual chances of getting Big Un are going to be, even with a 10 times chance to get him. So let's just take a quick glance over. I'm pretty sure this is copy pasted from all the other ones, very similar, from 9 UTC Tuesday, November 12th to 0 UTC Thursday, November 14th. We're giving you 10 times the chance of summoning Big Un from Sacred Shards. Here's how it works. The chances of summoning legendary champions from Sacred Shards are the same as normal. Once again, guys, there is no double rates event going on. I know I've said this multiple times in this video now, but very importantly, that is almost always going to be the best time to save up your shards for, whether they're ancient shards, void shards, sacred shards. Doesn't make a difference. Almost always want to wait, and you can always double check by going to the actual summoning odds, clicking on this little eye icon, and then if you go to the actual chances here, you'll see right now it says 0.5% for ancient, 0.5% for void, 6% chance for sacred. With a summoning events where you have double the actual rates, it's going to be 1% chance to get a legendary from ancients and voids, and then a 12% chance to get a legendary from sacred. So we don't have that going on. I really, once again, I said this in the last one, I feel like the numbers and the way that they present these events is a little bit confusing to new players, because it says we're giving you 10 times the chance of summoning Big Un from Sacred Shards, but that 10 times chance doesn't actually increase your chances of getting a legendary. Your chances of getting a legendary are still going to be exactly the same. The only thing that the 10 times chances means is if you do somehow manage to get really lucky and get a legendary anyway, then in comparison to all the other legendaries, normally you would have the same chance of getting every other legendary in comparison to Big Un. They would all be at an equal chance, unless Plarium is doing some hidden voodoo magic. That's the way that they said it is. That's the way that it should be. But now with this summoning event, 10 times the chance of summoning Big Un means that if you do get really lucky and you do summon a legendary, then you're going to have 10 times the chances of getting Big Un in comparison to all the other legendaries there are. And just as a little bit of a hint, there are 58 legendaries that you can end up getting right now from Sacred Shards. That does not count void legendaries. That's just regular affinity legendaries from Sacred Shards. If you do happen to summon Big Un, your chances will be 10 times of getting Big Un compared to any other champion, so that's pretty much just what I said right there. Big Un is one of the most sought after legendaries in the game. Don't miss out. He's definitely a good legendary. I'm not going to lie. He's a good legendary. There's a lot of bad legendaries, so it's nice to have an increased chance of getting a good legendary compared to a lot of the really bad legendaries out there. But when you guys actually see the numbers and the odds, you're going to be disappointed, and you're going to realize that I'm definitely right when I say this is the worst out of these summoning type events that we have had by far. I'm also really glad they fixed the text. It looked like the first time I looked at this it was purple. I know they did the same thing for one of these other summoning events where they had the banner. I think it was for epics, and they had it blue for ancients. So good thing that they ended up fixing that so that they don't end up deceiving new players. Now let's get into the actual numbers here. So if you take a look at the total number of legendaries in the game that are non-void, you're going to get a total of 58. I went through, I added them all up. I might be off by 1 or 2, but you get a pretty good number. 58 legendaries that you can get from Sacred Shards. Now, also, this event does not have any effect on Ancient Shards, so only from Sacred Shards. Chance to get a legendary is going to be 6%, so if you boil that down, that's going to end up being a 1 in 16.6666 repeated, so 1 in 16 and 2/3 chance of getting a legendary from a Sacred Shard. So that means that just in order to get an average chance of getting a legendary, you need to summon almost 17 Sacred Shards. So that's just average luck. That means if you're unlucky, you could easily summon 20, 30, something crazy like that. You could easily go that many Sacred Shards without even seeing a legendary. So that's pretty crazy alone. So the normal chance of getting a Big Un without any kind of summoning events, no double rates, no anything, from a Sacred Shard is 1 in 966.66. That is absolutely crazy. That just goes to show how I've said it before. I even said it, I think, in the video yesterday. Going after a specific legendary in Raid Shadow Legends is one of the biggest mistakes that you can make. You can see how low the odds are, and if you are trying to hunt for something specific, you are probably never going to end up getting it. And now, with the 10 times buff chance to get Big Un, the chance that you end up getting it from a Sacred Shard is going to end up being a 1 in 111.66 or a 1 in 111 and 2/3 chance. That is still absolutely crazy. So you still have to pull an average of over 100 Sacred Shards in order to end up getting a big Un. That's a lot of Sacred Shards, and I'm guessing most people who are watching this video, and in fact, most people who are probably playing the game, probably haven't even opened up 100 Sacred Shards. I haven't even come close. Most people probably haven't even opened up 25, 30, or 40 Sacred Shards. So this event, in comparison to the last few of them that we've had, it's the worst one by far. I mean, it's just really unrealistic. If you are really going after Big Un, even with this event going on, it's just not reasonable. Even if you're a whale, what is the game asking for Sacred Shards? Something ridiculous. If we look at the actual price, let's see, $30 for 1 Sacred Shard and 100 gems. So that means that if you wanted to, I mean, it won't even let you, but just say if you did want to completely whale out and go really crazy on this event, you would have to buy over 100 Sacred Shards just for an average chance of getting Big Un. That's $3,000. That's completely crazy. So the reason why I say this is the worst one is if you take a look at the Void one, the Madame Cerise one, and the Skull Crown one, at least you had a chance. You needed to do something like 50 Void Shard pulls on average to end up getting that epic champion. But that is an epic champion, so that kind of changes all the numbers quite a bit as well. The Gorgrab one was probably the second worst one because it was Ancient Shards and it was an epic. Not really that good odds. But then when you get into the numbers, the math behind this one, without a doubt, guys, this is going to be the worst one. 1000% bait. Definitely save your shards, save your sacreds. Even though there's a summoning rush going on right now, it's not even that great of a summoning rush. There's absolutely, especially with the holidays coming up, absolutely going to be way better opportunities to use your shards. So I wanted to just share with you guys the numbers, the info, the math, all of the juicy details on this event in this video, and hopefully you guys are able to learn a little bit. So if you guys did enjoy this video and it did help out and you want more videos like this in the future, consider subscribing to the channel. I believe at the time of making this, we are less than 100 away from 20,000. So thank you for all the support, everyone. Really do appreciate it. If this video helped out and you do want to drop a quick like, only takes about 1/4 of a second and it really does help out a lot. So thank you to all of you guys who do that. And if you are interested in more videos, guides, tutorials, all that fun stuff Raid Shadow Legends related, they should be popping up on the screen right about now. So feel free to check them out. But if not, until next time, have a great day, everyone. And this is Salt of the Salty Guild, signing out.